Okay, the story of the opera Lidia De Oxum begins in 1976 when I wrote a play called Seven Black Songs, based on the structure of the talking drums. The African languages are tonal languages. They have 3 tones. And I wrote these poems based on the diversity of rhythm and melody that could be set, so to speak, by the drums. A great Brazilian black actor called Grande Otelo saw this play. And after the play, he called me and says, "Ildasio Tavares, why don't you write a play of a black character, in which the character is not a bandit or a house employee, a domestic slave, as they say." I says, "Okay, I'm going to try." And I wrote a play called The Baron of Santa Amaro, which is the sugarcane region in Bahia. But I could not have it performed. Nobody wanted to stage it, and I put it in the drawer. Years later, we were about to commemorate 100 years of slavery abolition in Brazil. And I met Lindenberg Cardoso, a great composer, modern music. And I proposed to him that we wrote an opera based on my play. He accepted after reading it, and we wrote the opera together. It was ready in 1987 and presented it to the government of the Hawaii state that was a leftist government. Presented it to Yolanda Pires, who was the governor's wife. And at that time, her husband had a conflict with the black singer Gilberto Gil. And Gilberto Gil had given a saxophone as a gift to Lindenberg, the composer. And she said, "Look, they said that my husband is a racist, but he's not a racist. Gilberto Gil is a friend of us, and he's received in our house as if he were a white." And she sent us to the Secretary of Culture that did nothing. Years later, with another government, another administration, and another ideology, a rightist ideology, my play, my opera, that was and is a leftist play, engagé, was performed 3 times in Bahia, in São Paulo, and in Brasilia. And 1 year later, in an open stage in the lagoon in Bahia, for 12,000 people, both nights. Poor people, ignorant people, that he said not to like operas and classic music, but that's baloney, that's bullshit, because they applauded it on foot on both nights. And since then, I haven't been able to stage it again, because people don't realize the importance of the first opera sung in Portuguese, and also Yoruba, and Portuguese is not an opera language, so that we prefer to put popular music singers, because the lyric singers cannot sing in Portuguese, because there's no opera in Portuguese. They can sing in English, in German, in Italian, in French, but they cannot sing in Portuguese. And it was a hell of a success with 2 popular singers on stage, Margareth Menezes and Lazo. And now, we're talking about Porgy and Bess. Porgy and Bess is a great work. Gershwin is one of my preferred composers, but Porgy and Bess is not ideological. It describes the good aspects of the relationships in black family, etc. And as I told him facetiously. The only thing that remains from Portuguese is summertime in the interpretation of Sarabor.